Years back, they sort of had a minor beef, Brendan Schaub and Nate Diaz, and seemingly out of nowhere, Nate Diaz reignited that beef. Bring a big old pussy Schaub, is what he said, seemingly out of nowhere. Gadoosh. Not sure what set this dude off, mentioning CTE, I assume all good. Do something about it, bud. I'm not hard to find. Have your handler set up a grappling match. See how it goes for you. So he threatens him with a grappling match and adds, I probably got 20 pounds on you, so not far off. I'll snap your neck. Set up a grappling match, bud, and let me know how it goes for you. Have one of your handlers read this tweet and get back to me. Implying Nate Diaz can't read? I'm watching this. Schaub actually cooked with this reply. This is a step up from bullying Bobby Lee. I think you'd be surprised. Love both of them, but if we're being honest, Brendan probably ragdolls Nate. Brendan fought at heavyweight in the UFC. Nate Diaz fought at lightweight and welterweight. Since Jocelyn Edwards missed weight by 3 pounds, she forfeits 25% of her purse to her opponent, Tamares Vidal. Jocelyn Edwards is the favorite to win that fight, and maybe even more so now with the 3-pound advantage. Makayev versus Raul Rosas Jr. main event next week at ADXC 6 Grappling. Makayev has respect for Rosas Jr. Great opponent, a lot of respect towards Rosas Jr. and we're going to put on an amazing show at ADXC 6.
Next Friday, October 25th, we are going to be in Abu Dhabi for ADXC 6, which of course the main event is going to be absolute fireworks. Every single fight on this card is amazing. So this is a grappling event that takes place in a cage setting, so there's no breaks in between, just straight grappling. I love this. I can't wait to be there for you guys and help you guys with all the coverage and details. So I love you, and we'll see you in Abu Dhabi next week.
Bilal Muhammad wants to be an active champion in 2025, assuming he will be a champion in 2025. Got to get past Shavkat Rakhmonov first. To his credit, Bilal Muhammad is defending his title fast and against a really tough opponent. December 7th, UFC 310.
Funny as hell. The way that Pereira beat Khalil, for one, Pereira couldn't beat me fighting that way. And two, that's how I would have beat Khalil from the jump. He would have got beat like that even earlier in the fight. I mean, like, he would have, like, pieced up with hands. Like, come on, bro. That's what I do.
I don't even know what that means. Pereira couldn't beat me like that because I'd get knocked out faster than Khalil did. Regardless, Hill's probably taking on Prochazka next. Good fight, exciting fight. Leaning towards Hill winning that fight because he's a dangerous striker, and Prochazka just seems so comfortable blocking punches with his face. He does not care about defense at all. He fears magic more than he does the clenched fist from a 205-pound fighter flying towards his head.
Next fight is January 18.
So you got Walker versus Gushkov, Hill versus Prochazka, Mirzakhanov versus Krylov, Anthony Smith versus Dominic Reyes, Volkan Oezdemir versus Carlos Ulberg, and Ankalaev versus Rakic. That takes care of most of the ranked fighters at 205. Sage Northcutt and One Championship have parted ways. One Championship and Sage Northcutt have mutually agreed to his release from the organization. One wishes Northcutt the best in his future endeavors. Northcutt joining One Championship ended up being a colossal waste of time. He wasted most of his 20s doing nothing in the organization. His whole 5-year career there was just 1 minute and 8 seconds. In his debut, he got knocked out in 29 seconds and got his face fucked up so badly he was out for years. Horrendous injuries. He only fought one more time, and that was in 39 seconds he won that fight. So 5-year career, 68 seconds. Looking back, he never should have joined One Championship, but hindsight's 2020. At the time, it seemed like an appealing endeavor, but he's a positive guy and looking for bigger and better things in the future. Excited for 2025 and looking forward to having some big fights. Karate Combat might be an option. They seem interested. They're always interested in UFC rejects, but no, they put on good shows. They give these guys opportunities, and given Northcutt's karate background, there seems like a natural synergy there. Not that they give a shit, but like, yeah, there seems like an alignment there, possibility.
Seems like everyone's got a theory about what went down and where Sage might go next. But before we go down that rabbit hole of what ifs and fan theories, let's rewind a bit. For those who might not be as up to date on Sage's career, could you give us like a quick recap?
Of course. Sage Northcutt, he really kind of exploded onto the scene Clean cut, all-American image, always smiling, incredibly charismatic, and he comes into the UFC with this impressive undefeated streak. The UFC, seeing his potential, they signed him at just 19 years old.
Yeah, they were practically fitting him for a championship belt right out of the gate. So much hype around this kid.
Rightfully so. He was marketed as the next big thing, but there was always this kind of underlying debate. Was Sage truly as dominant as he appeared, or was he being matched up against, less experienced fighters to build that hype? It's a question that often comes up when a fighter rises to prominence as quickly as Sage did.
And it's a debate that unfortunately became even more relevant after that fight against Alexandra Cosmo back in 2019.
That fight was, well, it was difficult to watch, to say the least. Cosmo, a seasoned veteran, lands a single knockout punch in the first round, resulted in 8 facial fractures for Northcutt. Brutal, just a brutal reminder of the very real dangers inside that sport.
Yeah, tell me about it. 8 facial fractures. I mean, that image, it's still seared into my memory. Felt like a turning point for Sage's career, and not in a good way.
One Championship, for those unfamiliar, is another, prominent MMA organization, really popular in Asia. They've got a slightly different approach than the UFC. They often build their stars from within their own system, and they really focus on fighters with established followings in the Asian market.
So, new promotion, chance to rebuild, seemed like the perfect opportunity for Sage to sort of hit the reset button.
There was a lot of excitement surrounding his arrival, that's for sure. Fans were eager to see what he could accomplish in ONE FC, but, as we know, things didn't quite pan out the way many expected.
Well, some people think that ONE SC's financial woes, they've had to restructure, make cuts. Some think they just couldn't afford to keep someone like Sage on the roster.
That's possible. Gotta remember, ONE FC, they're working a different market, different revenue streams compared to the UFC. And with their focus on that homegrown Asian talent, a fighter with, mainly Western appeal, even someone as well known as Sage, might not have been top priority.
Right. Then there's the whole visa issue theory. Seems like that can be a real headache for fighters bouncing between countries, different regulations, all that.
Absolutely. And don't forget, there were a couple times where Sage had fights lined up and they just vanished last minute.
Yeah.
Really fueled those rumors that visa problems were behind.
Oh yeah, those cancellations for sure. It's wild, like this weird paradox, all this talent, all this drive, but still at the mercy of this often unpredictable industry. But enough doom and gloom. Internet loves to laugh, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, gotta ask about this comparison. I keep seeing Sage as like a golden retriever up for adoption.
Yeah, I get it. Gotta admit, the guy just has that inherent likability, that disarming smile, Hard not to root for him.
Exactly. That's what makes this whole thing so interesting. Even when people are joking, there's this feeling of, okay, Sage, we want you to succeed, even if it means, moving on from ONE FC.
It really does say something about his character, cultivating that likable persona in a sport that often seems to reward, trash talking.